Now welcome to the first session which we are holding in hybrid mode from today. Let us hope that the percentage of students actually present and those who would be availing online will improve with students actually in the class getting more and more in next week probably. We have, since this subject is mathematically exhaustive and we need to utilize the actual board while dealing with the subject. Having it in somewhere like PPTs with online accessibility to the other students is not so effective. So what we have proposed is that now I am dealing with the subject as if it is a actual lecture in pre-pandemic era, and the same is being recorded, and immediately after the lecture is over it will be available to the students on the YouTube, so they can view at their leisure, and also the students who are present in the class and find that some issues have not been very much clear, they can also watch. In fact, actually slowly we will move towards flipped classroom, in the sense that the pandemic has completely transformed the paradigm of education system. The actual delivery of the contents in the class in a repeated manner, say, means maybe when we were students 3-4 decades back, audio visual media accessibility was not at ease. Therefore the teacher had to teach each class separately, each year separately in repeated manner. Means what I will say, that when Xerox was not available, that time students used to write the available notes in their own hand each time whenever they want. But when Xerox is available, writing again in own hands is unnecessary exercise. So like that, even if now full-fledged availability of the students is available, still what I propose is that I have some recorded material, I will record some additional material that I will give to the students beforehand. Means when now with easy accessibility, availability as well as accessibility of the material, there is an urgent need to transform the manner in which actual class is to be conducted. Suppose if next year batch comes and I have to talk again same thing, it is ineffective utilization of time. Rather, the contents be made available to the students beforehand. They will watch the lecture, and in the lecture simultaneous presence of all these people is meaningful if something which they otherwise cannot do when are not together can be done when they are together. Means if monologue, a teacher talking and students listening is to only happen, in that case it can happen anywhere if it is available in media. When all of you have come, then some kind of live discussion which is a unique property of that gathering, that should happen. So you will ask I will ask some queries to the students, they will answer something. Based on those answers I may get some further questions. Some points the students might not have understood, they will ask to elaborate. So that kind of, that was called as flipped classroom. Means the classroom in which students actively participate in the discussion. So availability of the lecture followed by actual discussion. So we will try to utilize this. It is a very effective system which came in 19 and immediately, unfortunately, we have to face the pandemic situation. But anyway, now what we were required to face and all that. Let us not spend time and waste current time now. We proceed with the subject matter. So this we will meet as frequently as we can. Even though weekends are holidays now, it's a 5-day week. Still, if many are available, we can meet. Few are not. Earlier there was a complaint that no sir, in the weekend we have to go home. So if out in a class of 70, if 20 go home, then for the remaining 50 lectures conducted, those 20 miss the content. But now that is made alternative available, so that is not an issue. So it's what I say, you are, except the pandemic situation now, you are in a very comfortable state and all kinds of material is available. But at the same time, the availability of such thing is available to everybody in the globe, so global competition also increases. When 3-4 decades back, when there were less engineering colleges, admission to an engineering college itself was what we can say license for a meaningful life in future. But now we have to strive hard and try to utilize the time available now. Almost 1.5 hours gone, but still 2.5 hours are at your disposal. Let us try to make the available time to the best of its ability to shape your careers. So we start with the subject matter now. So signals and systems is that way a very classical subject. It was existent not only few years, not only few decades, but few centuries back. Signals and systems is having its traces. Laplace transform, which you might have heard, I also dealt to some extent. All these kinds of, to be very precise, when this discrete time thing, sampling, converting it to digital and processing using computer, when these things were not there, understanding of such complex subject was somewhat difficult, challenging, but at the same time, those who could think in that era, that was helping them, that was enriching their analytical abilities. Therefore, even now, we will have this subject having tutorial also. Even now, we will hold some exercises, whereby the advanced tools are not to be used. A question was asked to Mukesh Ambani about the tables. Two ones are 2, 2 twos are 4. What is relevant? A question was asked to Mukesh Ambani press conference. Do you think is it relevant now? Then he answered that now it is not relevant as regards to its application is concerned. Now, memorizing tables is not relevant as regards to its application is concerned because you have calculator. But still I insisted that my kids do it appropriately, merely to shape their learning abilities. Means, knowing that it's of no use, I made my kids to learn that. Likewise, even though something is available automatically, we will still redevelop it separately. Even though something is available automatically, we will redevelop it separately so as not that its development is of any use, but the process of development is useful for shaping your career. Since the process of development is useful for shaping your career, we shall do that. Say now, few decades back, we have a clock here. He's having a small hand and big hand. I think I had given this example last semester also. To understand the time with the help of positions of small hand and big hand was considered to be a skill. And those that just like we can say literate and illiterate, digitally literate and digitally illiterate, like that, in the age group of say 4 to 7, few decades back, there was used to be two groups, those who can understand clock and those who can't understand clock. घड्याळ कळणारे and घड्याळ न कळणारे असं त्या वर्गवारी होती, because it was considered to be something same. But with now digital clock available, that has lost its relevance. And now learning that is may be of use, may not be of use, so we will not insist that. But something in signals and systems, when digital things were not there, all means because of this audio visual medium, especially visual medium, since everything is shown directly which you can view with your eyes, what it results into, it negatively hampers your visualization capability. It negatively hampers your visualization capacity. Now, we can think at a very advanced stage. There are few who are blind from birth. What kind of visualization sensation they may be having? Number one. That is extremely debatable. But those who were normal at early stage of life and lose the eyesight, then in the latter part of their life, they can also visualize. Even you can visualize many things by shutting your eyes. So that when you shut your eyes, still you can visualize. Making you to visualize without eyes means you might be knowing there few poets or few story writers create a picture on your mental plane without making use of any audio visual medium. Like that, a circuit I give, input I provide, what output will be. Now we are having mathematical tools. Using those mathematical tools we can see that. But I try to avoid its use. I try to avoid its use to a large extent, because if you can, and once you see that using visual medium, your ability to visualize on your own gets affected. Therefore, what you must be made aware means, to be very precise again, if you go through the various subjects, you will find that things are not, there are two contradicting views. Whether teaching should be simple or not. Whether teaching should be simple or it should not be so simple. If it is too simple, then it creates a very casual, what we can say, impression or perception of students about a subject. Oh, it's so simple. What? There is nothing concrete, nothing difficult. And then they may not think beyond it, what we can say, point. Instead, so those teachers who do not simplify but maintain some kind of what we can say, not horrible but somewhat complex impression about themselves and the contents. It's not that they are having a wrong attitude that the students should not learn. It's not with that unfair intention. It's also with a very desired and well-planned intention that the pains which students has to undergo while learning a subject increases their learnability. I think only few students are there who can understand Marathi. Talking in Hindi doesn't make any sense. If it is to be either in English or better in Marathi. Those you can, for those who can understand, you can translate them. तर काही तुम्हाला असं लक्षात येईल की खूप सोपं शिकवावं का शिकवू नये. खूप सोपं शिकवलं तर काहीच अगदीच चिल्लर आहे असं इम्प्रेशन होतं. जे शिक्षक अत्यंत गंभीरपणे शिकवतात आणि सहजासहजी कळत नाही तर त्यांचा उद्देश हा तुम्हाला कळू नये असा नसतो, तर कळण्यासाठी तुम्हाला थोडा त्रास झाला पाहिजे आणि तो तुम्हाला जो त्रास होऊन त्याच्यातून तुम्ही पुढं जाल, वाट काढत पुढे जाल. आता गिर्यारोहण करतो आपण किंवा हमरस्त्यानं न जाता दुसऱ्या मार्गाने गडावर चढून जातो. There is highway available, rope is available, then what is the point in climbing it? That itself is something which is enjoyable. So, telling something in such a manner which should leave the students in a confused state, which should leave the students in a confused state, and in that confused state, sensible students will definitely try to think on multiple alternatives to resolve that confusion and will learn on their own, because whatever situations they are going to come across in their career, all can't be what we can say predicted and explained in the class. Therefore, what is the competency of the student? Competency of the student is to comprehend the situation, analyze it in detail and resolve the issue. So all those features must be inculcated in the classroom in the students. That is the purpose. One thing you do, you put a attendance. Anyway, so that attendance is needed to have a statistics of how many students are present in campus. You put a roll number and signature. So there are many things which I had undergone from my students' days, and for almost in these many years, for almost all major themes in electronics engineering, I have prepared what is conventional, what is the manner in which conventional teaching is done and what it should have been. Sometimes I feel that simplification is also required, but I adopt a mixed approach, and with now you being available in campus, we can do it more effectively. So what we will do, we will first try to explain it in such a manner that which should not be understood by everybody. What I teach should not means, out of that should not be that not is capital, that not is bold. It should not be understood by everybody so easily. Then it is just like puzzles in your nowadays with many different techniques of entertainment, that puzzle has taken a back seat. But puzzles means if puzzle answer is given, if puzzle answer is given directly, in that case, what is difference between now artificial intelligence is a buzzword. Can anybody explain what is the major difference in AI based system and human system? There are so many differences. Well, what is the major difference? Can anybody tell that? Accuracy. Okay, anyway, I answer it directly because this is not our major point of discussion. Major difference is that AI based system can be reset, but human intelligence system can't be reset. It's very important, it is irreversible transformation. Once you know something, by any means you cannot be taken back into a state where you don't know. I will give an example. There are two examples of day-to-day life. Cycling and swimming. Cycling and swimming are those two things where there is a state in which you are not aware of and you are aware of. From not aware to aware is only one-way transformation. Once you know, you cannot act as you don't know. It's not possible for you now, once you know to swim. A swimmer, for swimmer it is not possible that if he goes in a swimming tank and not do anything. Are you getting me? ज्याला पोहता येतं तो बुडून मरू शकत नाही. You got what I exactly said. एकदा पोहायला आल्यानंतर मला त्याला पोहायला येत नसण्याची जी स्थिती होती त्या स्थितीत तो जाऊ शकत नाही. सेम इज विथ सायकलिंग. सायकल आल्यानंतर सायकल न येता म्हणजे तो ऍक्सिडेंटली पडेल हा भाग वेगळा, परंतु सायकल न येत ज्याला येत नाही तो कसा पडतो तशा पद्धतीने तो पुन्हा पडू शकतो. Therefore, puzzles. When puzzle is given, if answer of the puzzle is given, then you can't solve the puzzle. Puzzle is to be solved, or puzzle can be solved only if answer is not no. Therefore, I will make a scenario wherein it will give a huge scope for you to think. And then if you are not able to think, or few may think, few may not be, in the next session I will give the answer. Then there is one more. If the puzzle is a very complex puzzle, then solving the puzzle is one skill set. Then when answer of the puzzle is told, to convince yourself that this is answer of the puzzle, जे हे या कोड्याचं उत्तर आहे हे स्वतःला पटणं, that is also a skill. And if that also you can't do, then that I will explain. So we will have a multi-layered approach. Wherein I will see, few decades back the lectures in the classroom were relevant because there was no substitute. Relevance of classroom discussion, classroom lecture was relevant 4 decades back because of monopoly. There was no other avenue available. Now everything is available. For the signals and systems, Professor Gadre from IIT Bombay has conducted 2 courses. that I will put all the links. So those who are very highly systematic, now 4 days of holidays, so, and videos are of 25 to 40 minutes, very short videos. Few are for 20 minutes also. There are about 100 videos. So despite the 100 videos, it is hardly 30-hour content. So you can view that. Otherwise also you can be, now few decades back there was problem of availability. Now there is a problem of choice. So many things being available. If I decide to watch everything, I don't have that much time. Then somebody should tell me what is good. And that the person who is telling me what is good must be expert. So I will make those contents available. Therefore, now the contents are covered in the class or not, syllabus is over or not, out of syllabus is taught, all those kinds of discussions which were having some kind of relevance few decades back are irrelevant. When we should say the lecture is or the classroom contents is impactful, when you go outside the classroom after the lecture, when you find that yes, whatever time I spent has done some kind of value addition in me. Value is an infinite dimensional quantity. In other words, no, suppose some external agency came and they take some survey. You spend 1 hour in signal system, then what is the exact gain what you have after the lecture? It is not height of a plant. It is not a plant which is growing in height. Say that before the start of the lecture it was 7 centimeters, and after the lecture is over it is 7.1 centimeters. 1 centimeter growth in height. Value is infinite dimensional entity. And again the dimensions and all that is will come in our subject. Therefore, what exact value addition is there is also not so easily tangible. It's a perception. And that perception is important. Whether actually you may find when you pass out and then sometime you may think, what exact gain I had in this course? You may not have any answer. But whether, then again we say real power and imaginary power, complex power, all these things are there. Whether real gain is there or not is an irrelevant question. Even if it is pseudo gain, you feel that yes, there was value addition. Your perception is important, and again we go with a very strong supporting logical base. You may not be aware, Kathopanishad, I think in your class I had not told this. Kathopanishad, anybody knows? Yam and Nachiket dialogue? No? तर नचिकेतच्या वडिलांनी एक यज्ञ केलेला असतो आणि मग ते यज्ञामध्ये दान वगैरे देत असतात. मग त्यांनी असतात खूप म्हणजे चांगल्या पद्धतीने करतात, परंतु त्यात थोडीशी त्यांच्या मनामध्ये खोट असते. मग दान देताना ते काय देतात? दान द्यायचं असतं. दान म्हणजे काय? जे गोष्ट लागत नाही. आता बाबा हे टेबल जुनं झालंय, मी नवीनच घेणार आहे. मग जे जुन्या बाजारात विकायची दान दिलं असं ते त्यांना फारशा उपयोगी नसलेल्या गोष्टी दान देत असतात. मग ते नचिकेत हा असा तुमच्यासारखा थोडाफार संवेदनशील असतो. तुमच्यासारखा म्हणजे म्हणल्यामुळं आय डोंट नो इट इज यू टेक इट इन ॲज अ कॉम्प्लिमेंट ऑर सरकॅझम. मग तो चिडतो आणि काय तुम्ही चेष्टा चालू म्हणतो, कशा करतायत दान आणि हे करतायत. ज्या युजलेस गोष्टी आहेत त्या तुम्ही दान देताय, ते काय बरोबर नाही, तुम्ही सगळी फसवणूक करताय. मग त्याचे वडील चिडतात. चांगल्या तुमच्या आवडत्या गोष्टी दान द्या ना म्हणतो. मग ते वडील चिडतात, म्हणतात चाल मी तुला मलाच दान देऊन टाकतो. मग ते नचिकेत यमाकडे जातो. सगळ्या चर्चा आहे. मग यमचा 3 वर मागायला सांगतो. मग तो पहिल्या वरानं वडिलांचं 2 वराचा मी एक्झॅक्ट आठवत नाही मला, तो सगळी काही रिस्टोर करतो वडिलांचं काहीतरी. आणि मग तिसरा तो प्रश्न विचारतो की तो त्याचा सुभाषित असा आहे, येन इदम सर्वम विजानाति तम केन विजानीयात. येन संस्कृत म्हणजे होतं का, म्हणजे कोणाचं 10वीला म्हणजे 100 मार्काला असते म्हणून घेतला असेल मार्क पडतात. येन इदम सर्वम विजानाति तम केन विजानीयात. I am teaching signals and systems. I teach some theorem and you understand. Then Nachiket has asked Yama, how can I understand the understanding process itself? मला एखाद्या गोष्टीचं आकलन होतं, या प्रक्रियेचं आकलन मला कसं होईल? Then Yama got stunned. Then he asked, no, you ask something alternative, I will give that. Then Nachiket said, no, I want this. Then to answer this question, all remaining shlokas of Kathopanishad describe that. So in that context, and what is understanding is also, see, when we talk of teaching learning process and evaluation, forget about online evaluation now, but even if it is realistic evaluation, understanding, there is no unique understanding. To be very precise, again it's a very relevant question, what is voltage? What is voltage? At least to some extent we say civil and mechanical engineering easy because everything can be seen. Length is seen, weight also you can perceive. Temperature you can also perceive, but perception of temperature, now you say 40, 41, it's not linear, it's logarithmic or exponential. That is not so easy to perceive. But voltage you can't perceive. You can get a shock if it is too high, otherwise you can't perceive. Something which you can't perceive by your sensory organs. Listen very carefully. Voltage आपल्या पंच ज्ञानेंद्रियांनी voltage तुम्ही feel करू शकत नाही. You can't have a perception of voltage using your sensory organs. Then what is voltage? Voltage ला मराठीचे हे माहिती आहे का? What is potential voltage किंवा potential difference we use alternatively. What is Marathi translation of potential difference? Anybody? Voltage ला काय म्हणतात? आता तर व्होल्टेजच लिहिलं असतं, इव्हन मराठी मीडियमच्या पुस्तकात सुद्धा, पण खूप पूर्वी वेगळं लिहिलं जायचं. व्होल्टेजला काय म्हणतात आणि पोटेन्शियल डिफरन्सला काय म्हणतात? Can anybody elaborate? No? विद्युत दाब असं म्हणतात. वेगळी ITI वेगळी मराठीची पुस्तकं असतील तर त्यात आहे. आणि अगदी क्लासिकल शब्द याचा पोटेन्शियल डिफरन्स विभवांतर म्हणजे आता कदाचित वाचल्याचं स्ट्राईक होऊ शकेल. पण व्हॉट इज व्होल्टेज? कॅन एनीबडी एलॅबोरेट नाउ? Exactly what? See now. This is called as pseudo understanding. Even though how you perceive voltage is not unique, still, just like Gobel's theory, एखादी खोटी गोष्ट 50 वेळा बंबाड केली ती खरी वाटायला लागते. Like that, about the word voltage, by listening so many times and by solving some examples, everybody is having pseudo understanding of the term voltage. And when there is pseudo, real is unique. And when there is pseudo, pseudos are infinite. Everybody's perception is different. And see the complexity of the process. A teacher has to explain voltage that will have a different impact on different individuals. There will be different perceptions which students carry. Then teacher has to evaluate that perception. That perception, one theme when is explained, see how, listen, it's very what we can say philosophical. One blind person explaining about the beauty of a scene to other blind person. Repeating me. The themes in electronics and electrical engineering are so complex, so non-visible. I have some perception. I can't show that. Means, see, it's तुम्हाला हे माहिती आहे रेकी? Have you heard the word रेकी? हे घरी सांगू नका, तर मग अंधश्रद्धा निर्मूलन देऊन टाकतील मला. रेकी म्हणजे काय? तर असं आहे की मला काहीतरी असं समजलेलं आहे सगळं आणि मला तुम्हाला सांगायचंय. मग मी काय करतो, जातो ह्याच्या डोक्यावर हात ठेवतो आणि 5 मिनिटांमध्ये जे मला सगळं समजलेलं आहे त्यातला ट्रान्सफर करतो. सो प्रॉब्लेम इज, आता हे आहे काही मीडिया अवेलेबल आहे, पण स्टील एव्हरीबडी इज हॅव्हिंग ए मेंटल प्लेन. प्रत्येकाचे मनपटल आहे. त्या मनपटलावर चित्र उमटलेली आहे. ती 2 डायमेन्शन आहे, 3 डायमेन्शन आहे, मल्टी डायमेन्शन माहित नाही. आता see, again it's debatable. Again it's related to signal processing, to signal systems. Bullock are colorblind. Do you know that? म्हणजे गाय, बैल, म्हैस हे जे आहेत प्राणी ते कलर ब्लाइंड असतात. Do you know what is color blindness? It's again it's signals. It's again a signal. Color blindness means what? What happens? They see black white?
No.
Then?
Difference is also.
कुशातले?
Colors.
म्हणजे कुठले? म्हणजे ब्लॅक व्हाईट टीव्हीवर दिसतं तसं नाही दिसतं का? मग काय दिसतं? ग्रीन कसं? मग ते मग येलोचं काय ग्रीन आणि येलोचं एकच दिसतं? नाही मग ते शिफ्ट वेगळं. म्हणजे आता ते म्हणजे आता मला काय दिसतं, माझ्या रेटिनावर काय उमटतं ते मी प्रिंट करू शकत नाही. What color blind people see? They are unable to distinguish between what? Black and white. Only intensity level. Gray level, but it's one dimensional. 0 to maximum. 0 is black, maximum is white. 0 is black, maximum is white. One dimension. Then color मध्ये काय किती येतात कलर? पूर्वी RYB असं लॉजिक द्यायचे. आता RGB असं देतात. अगदी खूप पूर्वी RYB असं म्हणायचे. आता RGB. रेड, ग्रीन आणि ब्लू. रेड, ग्रीन अँड ब्लू. राईट? मग बैलाला काय असतं? ब्लॅक व्हाईट नाही, पण रेड, ग्रीन, ब्लू नाही. तर these animals are unable to distinguish between red and green. Red and green, they think as a brown. Color, do you know this? Color blind people are unable to distinguish between red and green. So black white म्हणजे एकच. For color blind people, blue and brown. The entire scenario is made of two colors, blue and brown, and they are mixing, proportion mixing. Blue something, blue 0, if you can say level 0 to 1. Black and for black and white, only 1, 0 to 1. Gray means all are gray. For normal, R 0 to 1, G 0 to 1, B 0 to 1. Depending upon that, multiple colors, color palette, color palette. For color blind, blue 0 to 1 and brown 0 to 1. That's all. So, the thing, listen very carefully, two different things which color blind people see as same, a normal person sees them differently. Now, the question is, are there any, just like color blind is an exception, you just think color blind असू शकते, ब्लाइंड असते कळतं सहज. मग कलर ब्लाइंड असू शकतं याचा शोध कसा लागला असेल? इन व्हॉट कॉन्टेक्स्ट? सो जस्ट लाईक कलर ब्लाइंड पीपल आर देअर कलर सुपरविजनरी पीपल. यू गॉट माय क्वेश्चन? जसे कलर ब्लाइंड आहेत तसे कलर सुपरविजनरी मीन्स आर, जी अँड बी. आय से 3. पण त्यातला जो ग्रीन आहे तो मला एकच दिसतोय. दोन वेगवेगळे आहेत की जे मला म्हणजे मला जो ग्रीन दिसतो तो नक्की ग्रीन आहे का दोन विभिन्न गोष्टी की ज्याच्यातला फरक मला म्हणजे color blind person sees something brown. Is it because it is brown uniquely or green or red which he can't differentiate? So whether there is a fourth fundamental color or not and how its absence can be proved. So it's further deeper. So like that the question is, if what I perceive on my mental plane, that is something which is non-transferable. माझ्या मनपटलावर एखाद्या संकल्पनेचं काय चित्र उमटतं ते जर प्रिंट करता आलं असतं तर एवढ्या लेक्चरची गरज भासली नसती. So I have something in mind, then two blind people describe the beauty. I have something which I might have seen or imagined that I am telling. I don't. One blind person can't show other blind person, so he has to describe. So that problem is there with the teacher. Some perception which I have, I can't show it. I have to explain, and I have to draw that picture on your mental planes by effectively use of words. But what is on your mental planes that I can't see, you can't have its print. Then whether you understood or not, for that I have to ask some questions seeking description of the created picture, and that I have to compare with I have. And then something which is taught is understood or not. It's a very deep issue and needs to be thought in a deeper context. We shall continue at our regular lecture at 11:20. Thank you. 11:15.